there. There was stifling jungle heat, monsoon rains, intense urban combat, and unfortunately, exposure to toxic chemicals like Agent Orange that unfortunately so many of our men and women had exposure to. Also, there was the challenge of knowing or having been a prisoner of war, or knowing people who might have been killed or who are missing in action. And so today, we are so impressed and admire the resilience that you all have shown, having to go through all of those challenges and more. But yet you've come back to this beautiful community. And as I look at the people who are here, I see those who have continued to serve. And that's the other quality that I wanted to highlight. Our Vietnam era veterans have continued to serve in so many ways. Even though you may have ended your military service, you have served this community, whether it is by volunteering to help others in veterans organizations, whether it's by volunteering in civic organizations or with nonprofits, or maybe it's in elective or appointed office. You have been role models for what good citizens should be. You have lived a life of service to our country, to our state, and to this beautiful community. So we thank you for that wonderful service that you have given. And I will tell you that we have the opportunity to remember the 58,000 Americans whose names are on the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. If you haven't seen that beautiful memorial, you should go. It's very powerful. We take the opportunity also to remember the 614 men from Connecticut who were killed during the war. And there were 4 Newington residents who lost their lives in Vietnam. So please join me in honoring Robert Edward Casper, Peter Gibney Moriarty, Paul Kierstead Moser, and Elias Benson Jr. And I think it's so important that we remember them, and we honor you today, because the United States Department of Veterans Affairs estimates that every day in America, we are losing 530 Vietnam veterans. And so it's important that we say thank you and welcome home. And I'd like to paraphrase something that President Obama said at his memorial address in 2012. And he said this at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And he said this: when you returned home, you looked out for one another. You cared for one another. People weren't talking about PTSD at the time, but you understood it, and you were there for each other. And just as importantly, you didn't just take care of your own, you cared for those who followed. You made it your mission to make sure that today's troops get the respect and support that all too often you did not receive. So today we have the opportunity in a small way to redress that wrong. It's been more than 50 years since the last troops were brought home from Vietnam. But we say thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice, particularly your families who supported and sacrificed while you were gone. And we also say, welcome home. So God bless you, your beautiful families, our great state, and our great country. Thank you so much. So today, representing the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, Ron Welsh, who is charged with taking care of the 170,000 military veterans that live in Connecticut. Representing Commissioner Welsh is Jack Carragher.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that very much. First and foremost, my name is John Carragher, and I am a soldier for life and a proud American veteran. It is always good to be back in the great town of Newington. I spent most of my youth here. I come with regrets from Commissioner Welch. He could not be here today, but he does send his very best wishes to each and every one of you. I love these ceremonies because it is so nice for me to get the opportunity to share a very simple message with our Vietnam era veterans. And that message is kind of in two parts. The first part is thank you. And this is personal for me because my generation of soldiers and service members, you were our role models. You taught us how to fight. You taught us how to survive. And more importantly, you taught us how to come home with honor and continue to do great stuff for our community. Second reason that I am grateful and want to say thank you is because your generation of veterans refused to allow the same stuff that happened to you to happen to a subsequent generation of veterans. For that, I am eternally grateful, and I say thank you. And finally, and the Lieutenant Governor mentioned the welcome home that many of you received on returning from overseas. I will tell you that the first time that I came home from overseas, the first person that was at the bottom of the stairs was a Vietnam veteran. Again, because your generation of veterans was not going to allow the same thing that happened to you to happen to us. My pledge to you is to continue to do that for subsequent generations of veterans because it's too important. And your service and your sacrifice should never go unrecognized. Thank you very much for what you do. We exist at the Department of Veterans Affairs for a very simple mission, and that's to serve those that serve. So please, if you have a question, don't know, just not sure what to do, there's pamphlets out there. Please just pick up the phone and let us know, and we will help guide you in the right direction. So again, my brothers and sister veterans, welcome home. Job well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's now my pleasure to introduce our host and someone who had folks in the assessor's office and the town manager's office and the town clerk's office find all of you and bring us together, Mayor John Trister. Thank you for your leadership, Mayor.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. It's truly an honor to be amongst you and here as part of this. I want to acknowledge the folks in the back who did, as the Lieutenant Governor said, did work putting this together. We have our town manager, Ben Alchel, who did a ton of work. Jamie Trevathan from the Senior Center, a ton of work as well, putting this whole thing. So thank you guys for it. Every time I meet with veterans and come to a veteran event, I am immensely humbled and touched by your service and your sacrifice. It's your example, your inspiration that personally I have great respect for all of the service and all of the sacrifice that goes in that you have put in. It is truly these events happen in communities everywhere across the country because there are veterans that serve and sacrifice in every community in our country. It's when you see it come together like this, you really see how that service and sacrifice extends, and not just by veteran families and their children and their children's children. And that's what this is all about. Why your service and sacrifice is so important. Everything that we do should. So I'm just humbled to be here and so thankful for this and your sacrifice. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mayor. And now I'm going to invite up two of your fantastic representatives who serve in the State House, and they're going to come up together. State Representative Gary Turco and State Representative Kate Farrar.
Thank you to the Lieutenant Governor for gathering us. Lieutenant Governor, as she shared, this is nearly getting to hopefully 169 towns in our beautiful state, and doing this town by town, I think recognizes how pivotal, as you said, it is to rely on our local town officials, such as Mayor Trister and our town manager, to make this possible. So thank you all for gathering us together. I am State Representative Kate Farrar, so proud to serve with Representative Gary Turco and Senator Matt Lesser, who is unable to be here this evening. And as your representatives, we think of your needs every day and how we can support you in this state. And I do want to acknowledge that in our legislative work, I know for myself and Representative Turco, it's not just the laws we pass, it's also what we can do to support you as a constituent. And our incredible Department of Veterans Services is a key part of that. And so thank you for all they do and for making what we can do for you possible. I do want to also say that today is about us being abundantly clear that you are not forgotten. Your service is not forgotten. And I know for myself, that isn't just a message to you, but as Mayor Trister said, also to your families, because what you did for our country was also felt at home by all of your family members. And what they contributed to our country needs to be recognized as well. And in acknowledgement of the ripples effects of war, I also want to thank all of you in recognition of a very personal connection that I have to the Vietnam era, which is that my husband was a Vietnam refugee. And I want to thank you and really our entire country for opening their arms to our Vietnamese refugees in acknowledgement of the ability for them and so many to rebuild their lives in our incredible country. So thank you again. We thank you. You are not forgotten. And I know Representative Turco and I are here to support you and to make sure your story is still told.
Thank you, Representative Farrar. And as the Lieutenant Governor said, you all served our country, but you've never stopped serving. And, thank you for the service that you did during the Vietnam era. But as the state representative here and as a resident of Newington, and the opportunity to get to know so many of you throughout the years, it is so true what the Lieutenant Governor said, that you've just never stopped serving our community. You really all are the foundation of our community. You have started businesses, you support nonprofits, you've raised families, you've joined different boards and commissions and volunteers, and just as importantly or more importantly, you help your fellow veterans as well, whether it's at the American Legion or VFW or just your neighbors here in the community that need help. So I thank you for the bottom of my heart for just being really, really an important member of the community and leaders in our community for our younger generations, which I see here, to be able to look up to you, be proud of everything you've done to serve our entire community and country. And I also just want to mention that Representative Farrar, Senator Lesser, and I we have a Veterans Advisory Committee. There is a Veterans Committee up in the legislature, which is responsible for, vetting different proposals for state laws and then passing them in the House and the Senate, onto the governor's office to become law. This year, we actually were able to pass a 100% property tax exemption for veterans that are permanently disabled. So if you're 100% permanently disabled, you go on to our town hall, to our assessor's office. They have the paperwork there for you to fill out, and you will not have to pay any property tax here in Newington or any town that someone might live in the state of Connecticut. But those are the type of ideas that Representative Farrar and Senator Lesser and I want to hear about. I want to hear about what you're facing in the community that could make it easier for you, your family, and other veterans within the state of Connecticut. So we get together a couple times a year. We meet. John was one of our meetings recently. I see Bruce Carlson here. That was one of our meetings back in the spring. We will be getting together after the new year when the legislative session starts. I'll be sending out information. I'll ask the senior center if they can post it up here. And we're hoping that you'll be able to join us and let us know your ideas so that we'll make sure to work as hard as we can to help you at the state capitol during the legislative session. And thank you so much all for being able to come today so we can honor you. And please reach out to us if you ever need anything.
Thank you both. So the good news is boring political speeches are done. And the good news is also that the best part is listening to your story. Representative Farrar said, we don't want to forget your stories. So I don't know if this mic, I'm just gonna hope that somebody is gonna volunteer to be the first person to, you gotta be a veteran though. There was a very eager child over there maybe wanting to volunteer. His grandfather we'll give him a minute. Yeah. Do you accept, sir? All right. Okay, our first volunteer. We're going to ask if you could maybe tell us where you served, what.
I've lived in Newington since 1965.
Mike, well.
We're going to see if that's.
All right. Right out.
My name is Tim Ahern. I've lived in Newington since 1965. I graduated Newington High School in 1968. 68, I joined the Marine Corps, served in Vietnam from 69 to 70, was wounded June 8th, 1970, and spent 29 months in the hospital. I was commander of the West Hartford VFW for 5 years, which is now folded. Support all veterans. We as Vietnam veterans have taken upon us okay. As a Vietnam veteran, they respect. They're putting their lives on the lines for us. If you see a veteran with a cap, God bless.
Thank you so much for being the first one, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Is it better to? Okay. It's better closer. Okay, so usually I like to walk around because it's less intimidating if you can speak from your seats. But any other volunteers would like to come right up here?
How are you? I got a loud voice anyway. I'm Bob Jenks and I'm 78 years old. I'm originally from Weathersfield. We've lived in Newington here for the last 47 years. I know that. I was in the United States Marine Corps from 1963 to 1966. I spent a year, well, 15 months in Vietnam, and that was in 65. We were on one of the first amphibious landings right outside Da Nang, and we replaced the advisors that were at the Da Nang airport, at the airport. I know that. So I was there. I was my MOS was I was a engineer, and I was assigned to the infantry, and my MOS was demolition. Okay, and we are the generation of the baby boomers, and we've also, you wouldn't be where you are here today with all the stuff that we've developed through our lifetimes, all the technology that you have. It was all by you guys, the boomers. I know that. Okay, so hey, have a good one.
All right. Who else? Okay. Okay. All right. We have two people. Come on, sir. We'll have this gentleman start and
my name is Art Snyder. I went to school over here for kindergarten and graduated Newington High in 1965. In 1969, I was in Vietnam. I was on Hill 937. They made a movie out of that hill. It's called Hamburger Hill. I came home. I went to Texas, and I have nothing but ugly stories about Texas. I am much happier I'm here than I was ever in Texas.
right, we're going to cast him in a commercial for Come to Connecticut. Okay.
Hi, my name is Pete Stathis. I'm actually a New Britain native, but I've lived in Newington since I got out of the service in 1970. I was in from 1962 to 1970. I'm 83 years old, and I served also, something we tend to forget, I served also at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida, 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were RB-66 photo reconnaissance. We had one of our U-2 shot down. We had a Navy fighter get shot down. A few Navy guys, thank you. And we also had some problems too. Then I also fought in the Cold War over in Europe. Had the opportunity to travel to the Berlin Wall through Checkpoint Charlie, and we had assignments over there where we had to travel certain routes that the East German Polizei would let us do, along with the Russians. And then I also served at Tonsanut in Da Nang, again, in photo reconnaissance. We used the F-105 as weasels, and we would go in and take pictures and come back out, and also light up a few sites so that the big guys, the F4s, could come in and do their thing. So all I can say is that I remember that the support we had, as far as the military went, was always there. The camaraderie was just outstanding. Like they said, when we came home, it wasn't there. I'm sorry.
All right, come on up and come on, both of you.
Good evening. My name is Terry DiMartino. I served in not Vietnam, but Udon Thani. We're 20 kilometers from Vientiane, Laos. And we had the honor of blowing everything up. Where's that demolition guy?
There, right.
We ran the F4 McConnell Douglas jet. Those things were fast.
See anything?
We didn't see. I wasn't flying. I was a paymaster. I was the most liked guy in the base. Because they weren't getting a dime if they didn't get by me. So my particular honor is I was the last 100 people to leave the country. When they pulled the plug, we couldn't leave because we had 1,385,000 in cash. And they said, no, you have to stay. So we went from 10,000 people, servicemen, women, we had 6 women, down to 100. And they finally picked us up and brought us home. So, best time of my life.
Hello, my name's Frank Luena. I served in 1966 in the U.S. Navy. We were in, fortunately and unfortunately, we were in Norway, teaching the NATO forces to hunt Russian submarines. But I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I had many friends that passed away and they never made it home. So I'm so proud to see all you people honor these buddies of mine. And I want to thank you guys too. So all I could say is that we really need a leader, a commander-in-chief that has character. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to make sure that all of our branches of service are represented. Come on up, sir. You're doing great so far. Here you go.
My name is Pat Brill, and I joined the Marine Corps in February of 1968. I was too young to go to Vietnam at the time, and I went there in November of 1968, and I was stationed with the 1st Marine Division up in Phu. I ended up going on 8 different operations, and I have friends that I still go and see 50 years later. I'm nervous as all heck.
No, you're
You're fine.
When I went to Vietnam, I was 18, and I was a young boy, and my parents said I completely changed. I was a troublemaker, and the Marine Corps changed me. I ended up staying in the Marine Corps for 20 years. For all the Marines here, I was a drill instructor out of San Diego, and I retired from the Marine Corps as a gunnery sergeant.
There you go. All right. Anyone else? I think we've heard from Navy, Marines. I don't know, any Air Force folks? All right. You know what? We have people here who served between 1961 to 1970. So Bay of Pigs through Vietnam is what the Vietnam era is. All right, sir. USS Boston.
Yep. Hi, my name is Ron Otis. I've lived in town, I tell people, every day 76 years. I probably went to grammar school with Art Schneider. Anyway, I was in the Navy and went in 1968 as a reserve. Served on USS Boston, heavy cruiser. Went to Vietnam in '69. I was a damage controlman, which is firefighting and a lot of other things. Mike, we went into Da Nang Harbor and shot right. We had 8-inch guns. We would shoot every day. And on occasion, we were right in Da Nang Harbor, which is similar to New Haven Harbor. So if you're shooting an 8-inch gun in New Haven Harbor, it's a special thrill. I ran the carpenter shop for a while on the Boston, and my claim to fame was I made a pencil box for an admiral. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
May as well do the Air Force.
Okay. All right. Air Force. Here we go.
How you doing? My name's Chuck Sylvain. I've lived in Newington since 1979. I went into the Air Force in '68 and served through '72. I spent a couple of years in Japan, a couple of years in a SAC base up in Pease, New Hampshire. Anyway, the Air Force was the best thing that happened to me. I was a jet engine mechanic. When I got out in September of '72, I got a job at Pratt & Whitney in October. And I spent 37 years in the aerospace industry. So I can say that the Air Force is definitely at least for me, or the service in general, is probably the best thing to happen to most of us.
Thank you.
All right. Sir, you're wearing a Seabees hat. You want to say a couple words about the Seabees? That's okay.
Somebody help.
Hi, my name is Chief Bachette. I served in the Navy Seabees for 23 years. Traveled the world, did my thing here back and forth. And I'm proud to be with all the other veterans. I didn't serve the wartime, I served during the war, but I didn't go overseas. And I did the Desert Storm. So they put on standby, ready to go, but they canceled it. I'm happy to be with the rest of the veterans and proud to be in the service. And I don't have a lot to say, but I say this much, I am proud.
All right. Coast Guard, maybe? Army, come right up here. Absolutely.
Thank you. My name is Tom Boccaccio, and I served from 65 to 71. I never served in Vietnam, but I served in a place called Brook Burn Hospital. If anybody's familiar with that, we were the place where all Vietnam veterans came from injuries, rehab, basically. And it was quite interesting. When I got drafted, we had to go to New Haven. We all lined up. And he said, count off. So 1, 2, 3. So I counted 2. And the guy next to me said, two's my lucky number. So we switched. I became a 3. All 2 stepped forward and volunteered for the Marine Corps. I was privileged not to serve there. But we took care of everybody. I'm missing, the lady's missing. Families telling these guys, we don't want you on anything. It was awful. But you know what? There's a God. And when I came back, I had a wonderful wife waiting for me. And my daughter's right here. That was my reward. And if anybody's interested, if you really want to do some good for the Post 117, American Legion, we'd love to have you.
I don't know if we have any Coast Guard, but sir.
I know.
My name is Bruce Carlson. I joined the Navy in 1968, got out in 1973. I was on the USS Oriskany, an attack aircraft carrier out of Oakland, California. We made 2 combat cruises to Vietnam. Each one was 7 months. And I tell my friends to go on cruises and tours over there, be careful where you step. Because in 2 years, we dropped 59,000 bombs, mostly time delay. Even though a lot of people probably didn't want to be in the service, it was really amazing how good the esprit de corps on the carrier was. And once you're on a ship with 4,500 people, you really don't have a choice. After I left the Oriskany, I went to Boston Naval Shipyard as a ship superintendent overhauling destroyer escorts. And my wife and our family have lived in Newington for 46 years. I grew up in Rocky Hill, but we moved over here. And it's been a good run. Thank you.
Are you Ukrainian?
Ukrainian. It pains me that we are not doing as much as we can to help save Ukraine. I hope after the election, maybe things will pick up.
Very much. Come right up here, sir.
My name is Richard Goldberg. I spent 20 years in the military. I joined the Army in 1965 to be a mechanic. Instead, they sent me to medical school. And in order to get out, I had to flunk the course twice. Well, I did. And then they sent me to combat engineer. And I spent 65 and 66 in Nam. We went on a cruise ship, 27 days being sick. After I came back, I got out and went back in a year later and back to Vietnam, 70 to 71. And I was a combat engineer in a tank unit. And believe me, it's not fun being in Nam. Mosquitoes will pick you up. No, it was bad, but a lot of us came back, the lucky ones. And I did my 20, and right now I'm active with the DAV Chapter 8. I'm a senior vice commander. And the VFW Post 511, I'm a junior vice commander. So I'm still active with the veterans. Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Good evening. It's really nice to see a lot of people here that I see over at the home for lunch and whatnot. But it's really nice to see everything that's going on. But I would like to say one thing. My greatest pleasure has been able to serve this beautiful country of ours.
Anybody else? Going once. All right. Didn't they do a great job telling their stories? Thank you so much. All right. So now we're going to honor each of our veterans. If you snuck in, and usually we have a check-in table, so we may not know you're here. So if we skip your name and we're going alphabetically, don't worry, we're not leaving anybody on the battlefield. We're not going to leave until we have honored every one of our veterans. So if you don't hear your name, don't worry. We will make sure that we call everyone. And if it is easier for you to get your pin and your citation in your seat, when we call your name, just raise your hand and we'll just go right to you. Okay? All right. So now we're going to start honoring each of our veterans individually.
governor, or you just?
Timothy Ahern.
Sir Hearn, we're practicing on you, so you got to be front and center. Okay. Oh, absolutely. You make the picture better right here.
Oh, please.
Yeah. You said his caregiver since day one. Absolutely. Okay. Service. Thank you.
Super fun.
David Andel.
Oh, are you gonna come up here? Woo! Why don't you start taking it that way?
Come on.
No, no, can't get out.
Francis Barber. Armand Barneski. Willard Becker.
Oh, Willard Sunset. Yeah, Willard Becker. So don't worry. Willard. Not yet, not yet. Yes, you will. Don't worry, we're gonna get your citation. Don't worry. Okay. Right here. And this is that nice picture. Mayo, A-M. Yes, just tell her, oh, yes, just tell her, yeah, just tell her how to spell it over there. I'll make sure it's all right. Yep, I get it, don't worry.
Thomas Bacasio.
There we go. Oh, God. All right. Right there.
You better check if the camera still works.
Alfred Ameo.
Yep, right here is it first. Yes, front and center. There you go. Fantastic. Okay.
Yes, you came to the meeting we had. We're gonna have another one in the new year. You'll be invited, okay? Sure, thank you.
Richard Bocha. John Brady. Patrick Brill.
I think you should look at real old time. Ah. Oh, yes, yes. Nice to see you.
She right there for your photo.
10 for 5, no, I'm my brother.
Ronald Burton.
Wow.
David Capuccio.
Thanks so much.
Bruce Carlson.
Front of the flag.
Back for a picture.
Willard Sinsack.
Take one more with your, one more, out, take this one.
Chester Tracy. Richard Chizinski. George Creed. George Creed. Anthony Diamore.
Ran right up.
Thomas Danino.
so much. We so appreciate it. No, and let's take a picture. Yes, of course, of course. Absolutely. No, we will always. Thank you.
Terry DiMartino. Mark DeZamba. Randall Emerson.
One ladies.
Earl Evans. Lucian Fortin. Robert William Fritsch. John Garris. Lucian Greca. Donald Gugliotti. Robert Haynes, William Hunt, Kazimierz Janowski, Robert Jinks, Edwin Jones, Edwin Jones, Benjamin Jordan, Francis Payne, Michael Keegan, Richard Kotick, Theodore Hausen, Raymond Kuzak,
Oh. Oh, sure, sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Richard Langley,
Thank you.
Richard Lawrence,
Yeah.
You're Richard Lawrence, okay. Thank you for your service. Wonderful to see you here.
Picture right here. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thomas Ledoux, William Liebler, Peter Marcato, Peter Marcato, Richard Marks.
Seeing you, yeah. Wow, thank you for your service. Glad you were able to come today. You know the mayor.
James McCusker. James McVeigh.
Oh, Jordan, customer service.
Bernardo Melendez Santos. Sharon Moore. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a female veteran, and maybe we can convince her to. And where did you serve in the army?
I was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas. I was an investigator. I worked for combat development.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Hollis Morris. David Nomiko. Kenneth O'Brien. Donald Oliver. Timothy Osland. Ronald Otis.
Thank you, sir.
Robert Petrucci. Eugene Pitchett.
Can't believe that.
Robert Pieta.
You're not there. I told them that, so maybe next time, you're doing a good enough job. I don't want to have this bill.
Oh, okay, so we appreciate the service right there.
Dennis Poitus.
This wouldn't bother me.
Bernard Shapiro. Thomas Smith. David Snow. Art Snyder. Peter Stathis.
Right.
Appreciate it.
William Steinbach. Rodney Stecklin. Sebastian Amator. No.
We're gonna put you right here for a picture.
Charles Sylvain. Ralph Valera. Richard Van Voris.
Good to see you. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Daryl Veronesi.
You got it?
James York. Raphael Zanatelli.
Thank you for your service. Great to see you. Hey, wait a minute.
Franklin Luena.
Harry teaches on character. That's thank you.
What we had, I'll get that. All these one now, come right here.
Thank you
so much.
Guy Anderson.
Well, don't you worry. Okay.
Are there any veterans I have not called? Tesla Kozlowski.
Thank you.
Joseph Rinaldi.
Ah, that's great. You go for a 3.
There you go. Gather around.
Anyone else? All right, I'm gonna ask one more time. Are there any other Vietnam era veterans that we did not call? Anyone else? All right, so thank you. Let's have a round of applause for all of our fabulous veterans. So a couple of housekeeping things. If you would like to see the pictures that our office took, the web address to the Lieutenant Governor's Flickr page is on the back page of the program. And if you have any trouble, ask your grandchildren. They will help you find that. We hope that we spelled your name right. If we did not, Please, yes, before you go, and we will make sure we send the correct version to your home. And if we did not know you were coming, we did not make you a citation, but we will send you one. And I think that is it. But what an honor and a privilege to meet all of our veterans and your wonderful families. It's an honor for the governor and I and our colleagues to represent you every day. Thank you so much for coming this evening. Apologies. We forgot to retire the colors, so I'm going to invite, sorry about that. Please, if you could stand for the retiring of the colors, and we will have the honor guard do that. And please join me in giving a round of applause to the honor guard from the Newington Police Department. We are so grateful for your service to Newington. And safe travels, everyone.